I never thought that I would speak about this one day. I thought it was something very rare and happened only to me. But now I know it is not so. And that is character assassination by somebody you consider your own mother and father. Seriously, I really never thought this was as common as I now find out it actually is. So here's the thing, right? There's a huge mind block that people have every time that I bring up this topic, and I still do because I am true in this, and because nobody else is saying this other than me. And I say this because I know the life that I had before and after I faced this truth. And you know what? This thing is something that holds back a human, holds back a human. I tell you, and in the presence of God, my God, give me strength, God, give me strength, God, direct my words, God, direct the flame in me that I may get this out right and it might reach and empower those that it has to. So here's the deal. So many humans are not with their true parents. They are of that bloodline and they are surrounded by people of that bloodline, but they are not naturally made. They are either stolen from true parents or they are lab made and angelic possessions, or one parent is deceived by the other and an angelic possession, for the sake of the true parent occupied. I don't know the various combinations of this that there are. I'm just telling you what I know. The thing that I want to tell you is this one thing for which I'm making this video. They are not your parents who character assassinate you for being sexual. I'm going to repeat this. They are not your parents who character assassinate you for being sexual, for being sexy, for having sexual energy. A real parent is immensely proud and adores and respects and knows the sacredness of sexual energy, of sexiness, of the child being attracted to others, of the child being attractive, of the child growing up, developing and becoming a man, becoming a woman. A true parent is immensely proud at every step of that way. A true parent lights a lamp in praise of God at every time their child shows that they're growing into a man, a sexual woman. That is a true parent because the child was made in sexual bliss. The parents might fight later, whatever, okay? All these different things happen in thug world. Lots of people have lots of confusions, but there is no confusion when it comes to the making of the baby, the sexual bliss in which a natural baby is made. There is no confusion in it, zero confusion. And let me tell you, it is never a parent that character assassinates or is jealous of their child for being sexual, for being sexy. I never thought that I would one day have to say this. And to be honest, I never thought it was even such an issue in my life as it has turned out to be. I recently was very, very surprised when I found myself, I when I experienced myself being sexual, like, of course, like, I have experienced that over the years, and I'm, but in a new way, like in a different new way, which I hadn't experienced in this realm. My sexuality has been spiritual. I mean, it's been in the spiritual realm, but in this realm, and the 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 issues that came out shocked me. I was like, what? I was like, what? Because I was so shocked to find that there is a part of me that just treats me like crap for being turned on by a man in this realm. I didn't even expect it. Like, how I worship sexual energy, I worship sexuality, and what the fuck, it's normal. This is life energy, this is life. We can't control these things. I didn't decide one day that today I'm gonna find somebody and get turned on or whatever. This stuff happens, okay? And this stuff, right, this is sacred. This is beyond all our mental judgment and everything. And this whole tugwell thing of will it work out, will it work, that is all completely separate. 100% completely separate. There's this whole thing of you can be hormonal and get turned on, like, whatever, fine, but all of the judgments are separate. A person knows when they are truly spiritually attracted to somebody or not, and that's all there is to it. But I was shocked at the discrimination that arose from my own soul without me even knowing it, but was manifesting in very strange ways. Like, almost felt I almost felt choked, and I decided I would investigate this. And in investigating it, oh my god, I got the shock of my life, because I realized that this is something from my childhood. That back in my childhood, and I really mean childhood, like when I was 5 and 6 years old, whenever I liked somebody, most of the time it was a man, you know, most of the time. Can't help it if all the ladies are bitches, right? I liked one lady, and she was like from another place, she was just a visitor. But otherwise, usually, if I liked anyone, it was a man. I was just a kid, right? I was just a child. Why shouldn't I like somebody who had a good energy, a nice warm energy, make who was laughing. I like to see that. I would go up to somebody who was like that, and I would sit or stand in front of them, and I would look at them, and I would laugh, and I would be happy to see them. And I used to be character assassinated for that, because I was in that sort of background. They were very cheap bastards, demons, demon motherfuckers, and most probably incestuous as well. Most probably. They had no purity whatsoever. They were the kinds, right, that if someone was a male and someone was a female, they were eventually going to fuck sooner or later, in their minds, if not physically, in their minds. They really had no respect for each other as a soul or anything. This is the reality of the soulless, okay? They might pretend they're not like this, but then they'll go and pretend they're drunk and fuck whoever and say, oh, I was drunk and I didn't know what I was doing, let's forget about it, it was a mistake we made. But actually, that's them. But they projected that on me. I was just a child. I used to wonder, why did they make faces at me? What wrong did I do? And I had no idea what wrong I did. I had no idea. And then as I grew up, right, I left the Catholic Church because it was boring basically, and I was looking for deeper spirituality. I wanted to go to a place where they read the Bible, and I found a church where they have very good music, like lovely music and stuff, and worship, praise and worship with singing and stuff. So I used to go there, and I really liked the pastor there, entertaining, making jokes about everything. And he promised he'll be my brother, and I was stupid enough to believe that. But whatever, I just. And I was character assassinated, like as if I'm horny for him, and that's why I go to church. And this happened the entire 5 years of my teenage. I was into Jesus. I was into spirituality. I was fasting and praying 4 days of out of 7 days in a week. But they would say that I was going to the church because of the pastor. And you know what? It didn't matter what anybody else said. And this is what I'm coming to. It is the fake parents who I thought were my parents. They were involved in this, and they didn't directly tell me, but indirectly. I never thought that I was hearing it right. You know what I mean? I never thought it they could. How could anybody know me? How could anyone? How could any good person, right? How could a good person think that a child, a little child, and a grown up man in his 30s, how could anyone think that a little child was, uh, like, sexually after him? Like, I didn't even have that aspect to me. I didn't even know what that was. I didn't even know what that was. I was just a child. And these days, right, children are exposed to a lot of sexual stuff, even when they're children. But I grew up in a situation without a television. Like, there was a television when I was 7 years old, but it used to be like for the elders to watch news on, and they used to watch like one movie every Sunday, which would be a completely ridiculous Bollywood extravaganza of bullshit, which I never understood because I didn't know Hindi, which is the language of Bollywood. So I didn't, I was not, I wasn't even like the kids today. And so for me, it was just something I never could understand. And I never could understand why is it that, how can, like, what wrong did I do? What wrong did I do? I never understood it. And it is only today, so many decades later, that I understand how it can hurt and damage a person deep within when somebody who they think is their mother or father, you give them that place in your life as mother or father, as grandfather, as aunt or uncle, as an authority in your life. You give them that place. And then when you're developing, they character assassinate you before you have any sexual feelings. And needless to say, the reason they do that is because sexuality and sexual attraction, sexiness is dirty. And naturally, when I did try to have a boyfriend, it was made like I'm a whore. Just for liking a man. And in my case, I wasn't even like, um, I wasn't, what can I say? Puppy love. Even for that. And then, of course, I rebelled. After that, I did what I believed in, according to me. And the thing I want to tell you is that we humans should know that our rebellion and everything and getting our independence That's on a very surface level. The real damage that we have to deal with, right, is that deep down, we ourselves, right, because of our sexuality being seen as something dirty, subconsciously, we ourselves, right, we don't actually give ourselves the full respect and the full freedom that we should when we're turned on by somebody. We actually do, to some extent at least, look down on ourselves for being attracted to somebody. And we always, like, we either try to, if it's something that will work out, right, in the sense that if there's somebody that we can pursue and marry, then we think that okay, then that might be fine. And if it's not somebody that that we can meet, or you know what I mean, like if work out or whatever, then we're like, oh, such a dirty thing. And this habit is so horrible. And I'm telling you, I cannot give you the whole logic of it. I can just tell you one thing, right? And I'm saying this to you in the presence of God, the witness of the Holy Spirit. Sexual energy is divine energy. You do not the fuck negotiate or judge it ever. You have only one reaction to sexual energy, actual sexual energy, and every human knows what that is. When somebody turns you on, they set the fire in your gut on. That is not just about sex, it's a life thing. And it's very different from just, from a guy's, lingam getting hard, or a woman getting some bubbly and butterfly feelings around. It's not that. That is like very surface shit. Getting turned on by somebody, having the sexual fire flare up, desiring somebody, you don't judge that. The only thing you can do in the face of that is worship. The flame might burn for a while, and you might discover that person is not the one whose vision they put in front of you, for which your fire flared up. You might discover that, or you might never know. You might never know, but you have no business judging it. This is something that is beyond your mind. And let me tell you, there are consequences for disrespecting the fire of God, which sexual energy is. There are consequences, and those consequences are your life energy stops flowing. You go through, like, you don't even know what's happening, and you go through like years of like trying, going this way, going that way, getting confused, starting a little of this, restarting a little of that. And it's all because somewhere deep down you have disrespected your own sexual energy. If a person, right, gets into a kind of romance with somebody, there is a very high chance the person can go years and get married to that person and have even children, and still never experience the sexual fire. A lot of people do all this, including humans, do all this. And then there are those who you might not do anything of that with, but who actually get your sexual fire going. And I'm telling you this because it is rare. It's not everybody who will awaken your sexual fire. It is not everybody. And you must just not judge it. Don't judge. Because if you judge that sexual fire, you are judging you. And you are judging your own life force. And you are blocking your own life force. So that is why you must not even judge it. You must not even judge it. The only thing you got to do is worship. That's it. Everything else that you might do, for example, um, you might want to, go and tell that person how you feel, or maybe there are reasons why you wouldn't. These are things that are completely separate. Of course, ideally, when you have the sexual fire in you for somebody, you should manifest that by worshipping them in body as you have already in spirit. Ideally. But that is a matter for God, because we are not in a realm which is pure. We are in a realm which is layered with layers of lies and deception and all kinds of, you know, multi-layered deception and artificial restrictions of humans, in different locations, and all these things are there. So that is how something manifests, right? It's not your business. Seriously, this stuff is beyond a human's brain. We don't even know the reality, right, of the person on the other side of the wall in a building. We have no idea whatsoever. The mind is in complete ignorance of reality for most of the part. It's not our business to judge. It's not. We should worship our sexual energy whenever it flares up. We can't judge it and we can't control it. We also can't imagine that um, um, that we can, like, all these gurus and all these people, they'll be like, redirect it here and no, 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 no. That is disrespect. None of that shit. Worship life force because that's you. Worship your sexual flame because that's you. And don't try to put your mind on how God should flow in your life. Don't try to put your mind to it. I'm just saying a very simple fact. I don't have all the solutions to give you. I'm just saying that if you do try and control, if you do disrespect it, suppress it, look down upon it, and look at yourself like with the eyes of the bastards who brought you up, the fake parents who brought you up and made you to feel dirty forever, being attracted to anybody and forever, actually being sexy. If you can't look at yourself with those eyes anymore, you can't. These are the places where life force gets stuck the most. Not when somebody sexually abused you, but when your parents made it like you're dirty because you got sexually abused. That is where the blocks start. Not because you had wild sex and love with somebody and then they dumped you and it ended and you were so disappointed. People get over that stuff. It's when you thought you became dirty. It's when you thought that you were sexually dirty. That is where your life force gets stuck. And you must not. You're here to be a conqueror. And you cannot be a conqueror, you cannot be a warrior, you cannot win. You're not a vampire. You can't go and drain somebody, emotionally. You can't go and drink blood. You can't do all that to be successful in your life. It will not work for a human. It doesn't even work for those motherfuckers anymore. Forget you. It won't work for you. You got one way to get this right, and that is to allow your life force to burn the way for you, the path for you. And that burning, right, you can't block it. And the biggest way that gets blocked is when your sexual flame burns. As an adult, right, you become an adult in this realm the day your sexual fire flares up. It can happen when you're You know, 50, 60, 90, 200, 300, 400. It can happen. How, we don't know. It can happen even if you're young, it can happen. We don't know. These things are above culture and all this thug world nonsense. And there's only one thing we can do, and that is unconditionally worship that fire. Worship the fire when it flares up. And if you are like in a situation where you never have had this sexual fire flame up with you, or when you have never felt this desire, right? But you know that it exists, because you know that it exists. You have the dream of it in you. Worship that, even if it is the dream, because it is real. It's there. It's just not flared up yet. And once it flares up, there's no going back. Don't imagine that there's anything you can do. Don't imagine that there's anything anybody can do once the fire of God is lit. This is God's it's God's doing. This is above you and me. This is above us all these mind things. Our great opportunity is this. And I'm telling you, this is a great opportunity to heal and remove every block in your life, is to worship your sexual fire. Worship it. Take your life. Imagine, if you want, your whole life in your hands, and put it into the fire that is at your sexual organs. Put it in. Put your fire into the flame of God. Worship your sexual fire and don't think anything more. Just worship it. Know that you are a living being, because the soulless don't have this fire and they never will. Know that God is in you, because that is God.